What's going on, everyone? It's Tay, aka Slay, and we're gonna have some fun today. I wish the title of this video was The 3 Times I Have Met Henry Cavill, but c'est la vie. The universe has deemed it just not the right time for our worlds to collide. It's probably a good thing for him because I would have some choice words for Henry. And I will tell you why towards the end of this video. But let's get into all of the times that I almost met one of my faves. Now, I got into Henry Cavill like a lot of fans when Man of Steel dropped. I know people who loved him in The Tudors and other things. I never watched The Tudors. I had heard of it, but I'd never watched it. I had never seen any of his other films. But Man of Steel, I went to the theater to see because Anthony Juan, my best friend, is a huge Superman fan. And I wanted to share the experience of seeing a Superman film in the theater with him. I enjoyed it. I know that is an unpopular opinion, but I enjoy Man of Steel. I have it on DVD. I watch it pretty regularly. Because even though I am a geek and I understand that Zack Snyder's interpretation of the DC characters rubs a lot of people the right way, and I too am against this constant need to make heroes feel more realistic, like as if heroes existed in today's world. Like, no, let them be fairy tales, let them be fanciful, okay? Let them be overpowered. Especially Superman, because he's supposed to be the big blue Boy Scout. He's supposed to be always optimistic. Now, if you want to make a dark and gritty Superman, let's talk about Injustice. Actually, let's not talk about it. We're here to talk about Henry Cavill, not Superman. Even though some don't know how to differentiate the two. Man of Steel, the movie, wasn't why I started standing Henry. I started reading articles about him. I remember coming home from a trip to DC to see my family and coming through New York Port Authority, and I saw the cover of Essence, which had The Rock, who was my first husband. The very first husband in my head was Dwayne The Rock Johnson. So I bought that, and next to it was Details magazine. Details, if you don't know, is a magazine for men, but there was Henry Cavill's beautiful face, and I was like, let me learn more about this dude. It involves a lot of testimony from the cast members and crew from Man of Steel. And Amy Adams, who is one of my favorite actresses, was talking about Henry, of course, about how beautiful he was. But she was also talking about his dedication to the role, talking about Henry would get up before God woke up in the morning and would work out for 2 hours so that he would be pumped to fill out the suit. And then he would film for 15, 16 hours a day and then get up in the next morning and do it all over again. And there was another part in that interview where Mark Twight, the man who trained Henry for his role, was talking about how the oil rig. That's what it was. It was the scene on the oil rig. They filmed that in winter in Canada. They kept doing takes. Mark Twight realized that Henry's lips were turning blue. So he went over to Zack Snyder and was like, listen, you need to tell Henry to stop. He thinks he's a machine, but he's not. He won't stop until you tell him to stop. So he needs a break. Tell him to stop. And I'm sitting here reading this article like, this man cares about the craft. And see, that's what it is for me. It's not just that these men are beautiful. It's that I, as a performer, I stand talent, okay? That's why, and this is touching on something broader, that's why I decided to do the series that's coming on my channel, Chris Evans More Than Marvel. Because a lot of people only see Chris Evans as Captain America, which it's a fantastic role. He does an amazing job as Cap, but there's so much more to him. My man has range. That's something else we're going to touch on in this video. Just reading that interview was like, okay, the man is dedicated to this thing called acting. All right, let's go. And my obvious attraction to him, because he is a beautiful human, just grew from there. So I started putting out into the universe that I wanted to meet this man. Like I said, he kind of replaced The Rock. More or less, I gave The Rock to one of my friends. What's going on, Luce? She loved Wayne on a plane that I could never reach. I let her have him, and I was like, Henry is my man. How about that? When I was so into this dude at that time, I was like, I'm gonna read everything about him. I'm here. Like, I was so furious because when he started doing press for Man from Uncle, all anybody wanted to talk about was Superman. I'm like, can we focus on something else? Like, can we stop asking him how he felt about being Fat Cavill? He was called Fat Cavill in school because he was chubby as a kid. What person wasn't, really? I mean, can we stop asking him what the best part about playing Superman is? He's playing an entirely different role. Like, can we not? Like, I was getting angry for him because I know him personally. I had found out that the Ziegfeld Theater, this beautiful theater that used to host premieres of Hollywood movies in New York City, it's now been sold and has been turned into some sort of elite ballroom type thing, where they hold very exclusive events, which is sad to me because I've seen movies there, and as you'll see, I've been there quite a few times during Hollywood premieres. We've stood across the street and seen all kinds of movie stars walk into that theater during premieres, and we were like, this is amazing. So when it came time for the United States release of The Man from Uncle, I started scouring all of the Henry Cavill fan pages, every bit of, like, I think the one that I follow on all platforms is like henrycavill.org. Like, I was like, where is the premiere? Is it going to be in LA? Is it going to be in New York? And then they confirmed that it was going to be in New York. Now, here's the thing about the Ziegfeld Theater. The Ziegfeld Theater is, I want to say, 3 blocks away from my old job. So it was nothing for Tay and Angel to clock out of work and go wait across the street from the Ziegfeld. I was like, we are going to meet Henry Cavill today. I mean, I counted down. I had it marked on my calendar. I had it on Google Alert. I had an outfit picked out. I had a wig picked out. I was like, we are going to do this. And we sat there for at least a couple of hours. We're just sitting there like, do. Okay. Oh, okay. Here comes a long black car. Who is this? Oh, that's Hugh Grant. Okay. Yay. He got old. Okay. Yay. And then I was like, okay, who else is rolling up? Okay. It was, I hate this. I own The Man from Uncle, and I don't remember hardly any of the actors except for Hugh Grant, Henry Cavill, obviously, Armie Hammer. I was like, oh, it's the girl that played Gabrielle. Yay! She's pretty. Yay! Like, we're sitting there, we're like, where is Henry? Then all of a sudden, I see this black car come up. Now, it's not like a limo or anything. It looks like just a bit. It's not even an expedition or an excursion. It's not like a huge SUV. It looks like a Jeep, Grand Cherokee. And I see Henry in a suit and like bodyguards flanking him. I'm like, what is going on? And like people who were not there 2 hours ago came out of nowhere and pushed me out of the way. And I'm like, my health is not worth, the safety of my body is not worth fighting through those people to just maybe say hi to Henry, to have him look at me for a half a second and then leave. So I stayed back. My best friend AJ showed up later, and he arrived actually right before Henry. So he took my phone and stood up on a little platform and was able to get pictures for me that are on my old phone. I think they are on my Facebook page, but I went home brokenhearted. I was like, I was there for all that time, and these people who only had Superman memorabilia, who don't care about Henry as a person and as an actor, they pushed me out of the way. They kept me from Henry. I was a mess. I was a mess. So I let that go. The funny thing was, the next night I went to a group meeting on A Course in Miracles. So I go to that class. We meet at this trendy little shop. And, we're talking about the course and talking about manifestation and visualization. And I was like, I tried my hardest to visualize and manifest meeting Henry. And another girl was like, yeah, so did I. And she actually works in press. So she was there for a purpose. She was there to cover the premiere. And she was like, yeah, nobody could get next to Henry. Nobody could get close to him. His bodyguards were all around him like, no, he doesn't want to talk to anybody. And I'm like, ugh. And she was like, but poor Army Hammer. He was over like, please, somebody talk to me. Hi. I'm like, oh, I would have talked to Army. I don't even remember seeing Army Hammer arrive. I was like, I would have talked to him. Oh. So I kind of let that go. But continued to stand. Then came all of the news about the Man of Steel sequel, which turned into Batman versus Superman, which then turned into, we're going to throw Wonder Woman in the mix and we're going to copy Marvel and create the DCEU because we are trying to chase that Marvel dollar. Anyway, a whole separate video on another channel about that. So I was like, oh, okay, do. I was like, well, where are they going to do the premiere for this one? Because the Ziegfeld's gone. Well, funny thing about that was that the premiere was going to be at Radio City Music Hall. Why is that funny, Tay? Because Tay worked right next door to Radio City Music Hall. The premiere was going to be on a Sunday. It was going to be on a Sunday. I had a brunch to go to on Sunday. I didn't want to be anywhere near Radio City Music Hall on a Sunday. It was gonna be chaotic. I was like, after what happened when I tried Man from U.N.C.L.E., it's not only gonna be just Henry Cavill fans, it's gonna be DC fans. I'm not gonna be trampled on. Absolutely not. No. So we still tried though. We still tried. As AJ and I are walking in the opposite direction, we're walking downtown as opposed to uptown where Radio City Music Hall is. I am scrolling lazily through Facebook and I see that Henry Cavill is at Midtown Comics. Now, I knew people who worked at Midtown. I still know people that work at Midtown, but they work at a different location. I know people who, that was the sole location where they got their comics. That's where AJ and I went many times when AJ would go buy his comic books. That's where I went when I bought my first comic book. I've been in that store several times. So when I'm looking on Facebook and I'm seeing Henry Cavill in New York and I'm seeing where Henry is, I'm like, he's at Midtown Comics. Oh my God. And so AJ and I start hot-footing it over to Midtown. And on our way to Midtown, I get a message from my good friend, Kevin. Kevin is this beautiful older man who I met through Gay Geeks of New York. I love him so much. He was at Midtown and literally bumped into Henry. Literally bumped into Henry. He said he was walking through the stacks, just looking for his comics, not really paying attention, and ran into him and was like, oh, excuse me. And apparently Henry went, oh, nope, sorry, mate. I was like, and he was like, his ass is gorgeous. I'm like, isn't it? You couldn't send me a text. I would have been here. Because they didn't close, obviously because Kevin was there, they didn't close the store down so Henry could like shop. It was definitely a photo op because I know as geeky as Henry is, like he's admitted to never reading comics. Which a lot of people who are in comic book movies admit, like they've never picked up a comic. It's certainly not the comic for the character they played until either they got cast in the role or once production started. So I'm not going to fault him for that. But I'm just like, this is obviously just a photo op. Like, let's get Henry going to a comic shop. And I was like, I was right there. A friend of mine got to bump. Why? So close. So we decided to try to go to Radio City, and there was just way too many people, way too many people. So I was like, let's keep walking our drunk asses back downtown, and maybe it's wine o'clock. Let's go have another drink. Oh, to soothe my aching heart because I had once again missed Henry. Now, unbeknownst to Tay, Henry decided to make it a whole week in New York City. One day at work, it's gloomy as hell. I'm looking outside. I'm like, now this is New York City where most apartments don't have kitchens. I had a kitchen, but it was like my stove was literally this big. It was a 4-top range and my counter space was this big. Like I had no desire to cook because I had no space for anything. It was a chore. Here in this apartment, I love to cook because I have an actual kitchen and it's I love this kitchen. Anyway, back on topic. So I say that to say I went out for lunch quite a bit, but because the weather was such shit, I was like, I will go to a restaurant that's in the building and come right back up to my desk and eat. The next day, and this was right around when Henry first got an Instagram. He had been fighting being on social media forever, and he had just recently got on Facebook and Instagram. So he decided to walk through Times Square as a degular person. He was just in jeans and a Superman t-shirt and a jacket because this was early spring, so it was still a little chilly, and just walk around Times Square. And the caption of the video was, "See, without the glasses, nobody recognizes me." And I think that was a joke between him and Ben Affleck. Like, how do you not recognize Superman? What, just because he's not wearing his glasses? How can you not tell that he's Clark Kent? And I'm just like, I'm watching the video and I'm noticing that Henry is right in front of one of my favorite restaurants. It's called The Counter. Basically, it's a build-your-own burger shop. They have excellent fries, amazing milkshakes, adult milkshakes as well. The burgers are exquisite. He was standing right in front of it. And because normally when I took walks and when I went out for lunch, I would walk through Times Square. That's how close it was to my job. Had I not let the weather keep me at my desk, had I not let the weather keep me in my office building, I would have recognized Henry. Editing Tay here. I forgot to mention that after this little stunt in Times Square that Henry pulled, everybody who knew me and knew that I absolutely loved and adored Henry Cavill tagged me in that post. I got it in work emails. I got it in my Instagram DMs. People tagged me under Henry's post. I got all of the notifications on Facebook. I just love the fact that my people knew me. They're like, Tay needs to know about this, across every platform. Back to the video. I would still love the opportunity to meet Henry because he has said some things over the years that make me question if he has friends that don't look like him. I mean, what I'm about to talk about right now is basically why Henry got demoted from husband to my head to dude I just want to have a beer with. We talked about this a little bit on my live stream last Friday. Because somebody asked me if I had to choose between Henry or Chris, who would I choose? And I said Chris, for a myriad of reasons. But I'm going to give you a few. So do you all remember when the hashtag Oscars So White happened, where I think it was all of the actors in the best actor category were white men, and people were like, okay, this has happened one too many times. There have been a variety of movies with leads of many different races, colors, and creeds. What are y'all doing? This was 2016, and this was the year that Henry Cavill presented at the Oscars. I believe he presented with Kerry Washington. And someone asked him his thoughts on hashtag Oscars so white, and he said, well, I don't think it's inherently racist, but if we were to make everyone on the voting panel black, would that not also be racist? I'm like, it's okay to say I'm not educated enough about the situation to articulate an opinion. Because if you had really sat back and heard and listened to the people that were complaining, you would know that it was not just people of color saying, hey, we want the whole voting panel to be black. No, that's not what they were saying, sweetie. They were saying that we want more women on the board. We want people who are younger with fresher ideas, because these are elders of the Hollywood community that keep casting these votes. We need people from different places, different parts of the industry. Diversity means more than black and white. And it saddened me that he would say something like that. That was strike number one. Strike number two was when, at his big age of 33, he decided to date a 19-year-old. What in the hell does a 30-plus-year-old man have in common with a 19-year-old? The funny thing was, I saw it coming, because somebody asked him after he'd broken up with Gina Carano for the second time, and I love me some Gina Carano. I wish they had gotten married. Gina Carano does exhibit some big dick energy, which is why I love her. The BDE in me recognizes the BDE in her, okay? Somebody asked Henry during an interview what kind of woman he was looking for, and he said, I believe this was his truth. I don't know if it's still his truth, but I believe this was his truth at the time. He said, I want somebody who is able to travel with me, who is able to be there with me when, I'm filming or when I'm, working on something. I want someone who doesn't really have too much going on, so that they can basically be at his beck and call. That's the way it read to me. And then he dates a 19-year-old. I'm like, well, he got what he wanted. But the thing is, at the end of the interview, he's like, no, I'm just kidding. I want an independent woman who has her own life. You lying? I can't believe you lie like a rug, but you have all of the power. Not only do you have all the power, you have more money than she's probably ever seen in life. They met at a pub, and he was like, yep, this one. She's going to be at my feet, looking up at me like I'm the greatest thing ever. Like, I don't know if that's what he thought, but that's what it feels like. Like, you don't want somebody who's your equal. And that turned me off. It reminded me of the guys in my life who love to tell me that they love the fact that I'm independent, but will still go for the bird with the broken wing because, well, I need to feel needed. That's exactly what it read to me. Strike three was his comments about hashtag #MeToo. He was promoting Mission Impossible 6. Somebody asked him, because this was at the very beginning of the Me Too movement, and somebody asked him about it. And he was like, this is why I only date women that I've known previously. I believe that women should be courted, but now there are all these rules. I don't want to approach somebody and have it come off the wrong way. I don't, want somebody to ask me why I stopped pursuing this person and have to answer, well, because I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to be accused of rape. Sir! Oh my God! And he's not the only person who thought like this. I had men, straight men in my own life express similar views. And I'm like, I need you to sit down with the women in your life and talk to them about their experiences, because obviously you're not, it's not computing. Wow. He did release an apology, but it wasn't on his Instagram or his Facebook. It was on his manager's Facebook. His manager is Danny Garcia, the manager and ex-wife of my first husband in my head, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I know you were in the room when this interview was being conducted? Why did you not pull him aside and be like, I need you to not? And in his apology, he did the classic things were taken out of context. How? And like I said, it wasn't on his social media. It was on Danny Garcia's Instagram page. Henry had been all up and through his Instagram stories up until that interview was released. You know, like, hey guys, I'm here, I'm in Paris, I'm in Rome, I'm in here. And then the minute that interview hit and the backlash started, he went radio silent. You couldn't like look into the camera on your phone and be like, listen guys, it was a heat of the moment, knee-jerk reaction, I truly apologize. Like, really? Dude, you're an actor. You couldn't act remorseful did you? I really hope he understands why that was so problematic. Another thing that killed me about Henry was somebody asked him what his favorite part of his job was. Basically, what do you love most about your career? And he was like, I'm going to give you my honest answer and I'm probably going to be flamed for it, but the money is nice. Like when I'm on these long trips, it's always better to fly first class because there's more leg room and, you know, I get to take my friends on these fabulous vacations. So yes, you know, all of this is fantastic, but it's the money for me, mate. And I'm like, dude, in a way, like I appreciate the honesty, but you couldn't have come up with anything else to make you not look like a dick. Like just, why? And I mentioned earlier about Henry's range as an actor. Like, yes, in certain scenes in Man of Steel, he portrays emotion. Like, I felt things. But since then, he's played the same role in nearly every movie he's put out since then. Like, he's always the strong, stoic, you know, stone-faced, can cut your jugular with his jawline hero. I'm probably gonna get flamed for this, but I've only watched the first 4 episodes of The Witcher because I cannot. Like, I'm not compelled. The timeline being all kinds of messed up, that's not Henry's fault. But Geralt is the gravelly voice. Like, part of me really wants to read the books because the books must be more exciting. Can you do something with some depth, please? Because I'm tired of seeing the exact same character on. He's like Michelle Rodriguez. He is the same character in every movie, and I need him to stop. Along those lines, okay, so yes, I'm going to keep comparing him to my husband, Chris Evans. This was a couple years ago, again, around the time of Batman v Superman, where Henry participated in an Omaze campaign. Omaze, if you don't know, is basically a fundraiser where you donate $10 and you're entered into a sweepstakes where you can potentially meet and hang out with whatever celebrity is running this particular fundraiser. So I donated to one of Chris's. I think Chris's was to do an escape room with him. I did one for Robert Downey Jr. and I did one for Henry. And I think Henry's was attend the BVS premiere with him and take a helicopter ride around New York. And I was like, well, that'd be fun. So I threw $10 at it and forgot about it. So I'm reading the story of the woman who actually won the campaign. And she said that she asked Henry if he would ever do theater. And he was like, no, that doesn't interest me at this time. I'm like, okay. Because live theater is what really tests the actor. Like, I've been on stage in front of people. I've danced in front of live audiences. I've performed songs in front of live audiences, not just karaoke. I have acted in shows in front of live audiences, and that is a whole, because you don't get to do takes. You don't get redos. You have to wait for the next night for your redo, basically. You got to learn to roll with it, and you got to be able to think on your feet if a mistake comes up, if somebody drops a line or you drop a line or some piece of scenery falls out or the transition doesn't happen or the lights don't go up at the right time. You got to be able to go. So that is the true mark of an actor for me, because I'm somebody who grew up in the theater. So for him to say that and then to hear basically, I'm in this for the money, son, I'm like, Meanwhile, my boo Chris Evans is like, I have a break between Avenger films. I'm gonna go do this Broadway show for a couple of months. What's really good? And I saw him in that show. It was Lobby Hero with him and Michael Cera. When I do my review of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, I will give you my thoughts on Lobby Hero. So anyway, that's where I'm going to end the video. I'm going to keep putting out into the universe for me to meet Henry Cavill for the reasons previously noted. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly had a good time making it. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All of those good things. I know there are a million other videos you could have watched today. I humbly thank you for coming to slay.